And today, we are really immersing ourselves in an intensely dramatic story. We're looking at the episode Kuma, Shadows of Betrayal.
Yeah, and this deep dive is all about untangling this really intricate web of deceit, character motives, and the shifting power dynamics that just define this whole chapter. The episode just launches with this incredible moment where you think it's all over. Karan makes this huge declaration.
He says everything is over and that the guilty person will finally receive punishment.
Right. And that sounds like a wrap-up,
Yeah,
the end of a long story.
yeah.
But the sources show that this is really just the launch pad for the real suspense.
It's the fake out.
It is. So we have to ask that critical question. Is it really that simple? Is the guilty person about to be caught? Or is everyone, maybe even Karan, being misled because there's another game being played behind the scenes? That doubt, that's suspicion that the resolution is just a mirage, that's the real engine of this entire episode.
It's a masterful setup, really. You're led to believe you're at the climax, only to realize the supposed end is actually the starting line of a much darker, much more complex phase of the story.
Yeah, the audience is immediately put on guard. You're basically trained to mistrust anything that looks too clean.
And the immediate target of that suspicion is the character Seema.
Yes, let's start there. We need to analyze the role she played in that capture attempt because her actions just immediately cast her in this really harsh, uncertain light.
Seema is absolutely central to the whole thing. She was the one who provided that critical piece of information to Karan.
The location of Amir.
The precise location, yeah. She basically positioned herself as the key to solving the whole thing.
The trusted informant. So if the information was good, the plan should have worked.
But of course, it didn't.
Not even close.
Precisely. The plan to capture Amir failed, utterly. The information Seema provided was either wrong or maybe strategically delayed, and Amir manages to escape the trap completely.
Now, a simple failure could be bad luck or poor execution, an honest mistake. But why does the source material immediately pivot all that suspicion onto Seema? Why is this seen as betrayal and not just an unfortunate development?
Because the failure was just too clean, too complete. The narrative structure, as you see it in the notes, it just screams calculated deception. Because of this total failure, suspicion just grows incredibly strong against her. And this is where that pivotal question comes up. Did Seema deliberately give false information, or is she just a pawn being used by someone else?
Someone who fed her the bad intel.
Exactly. A true mastermind misleading everyone, including her.
That distinction, intentional betrayal versus being an unwitting pawn, that's fascinating. It completely changes how we're supposed to see her character.
Well, if she's a betrayer, she's an antagonist. If she's a pawn, she's a victim.
And the sources are careful not to give us that answer yet, are they?
Not at all. They really emphasize that this doubt pushes Seema's character firmly into what they call a gray zone. She's not just a supporting character anymore. She's this enigma who could be working multiple sides, or, and this is more chilling, maybe working one side, but thinking she's working for the other.
And that forces you, the listener, to just constantly reevaluate her every move, her every word. She's not a plot device anymore. She's a deep psychological puzzle.
It's suspense writing at its best. The failure wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate mechanism to inject this profound mistrust into a character who was, for a moment, an ally.
And that lack of clarity is what keeps you hooked. You're actively leaning in, trying to decipher what she's really up to.
And that active uncertainty is immediately put into contrast. Before we dive deeper into the conspiracy, the story takes this necessary detour into some really intense internal character struggles, a moment of emotional reckoning.
Right. It reminds us these players are still human, even with all the machinations.
Exactly.
That's a great way to transition from the big plot failure to the very specific personal fault lines in the family. Let's talk about that moment, the weight of emotional confession. Who steps up?
We pivot entirely to Karan's mother. And it is a powerful, difficult scene. She admits to a mistake that, while it might seem smaller than murder, it's huge in terms of familial harm.
What does she confess to?
She confesses that she caused deep pain to the daughter-in-law, who the sources call Ceylan. For anyone who doesn't know, Ceylan is the daughter-in-law, and the term often carries this heavy weight of duty and expectation, in a traditional family.
Which makes any transgression against her feel particularly severe in that domestic space.
Exactly. She admits she made the Ceylan cry.
And she follows it with this statement of just overwhelming regret. She says she never wants to remember that day.
It's not a casual, oops, my bad. It's a moment of immense psychological purging for her.
And what's so fascinating here, and sources point this out, is that this confession, it feels less like a simple "I'm sorry" and much more like she's literally carrying the weight of a broken relationship on her shoulders.
Yeah, you can feel the exhaustion in it. And the depth comes from how she acknowledges the aftermath. She doesn't just focus on her own action. She tries to explain the emotional state of the Ceylan.
She said the other person is angry, hurt, and completely justified in those feelings.
Yes. She's not asking for a quick fix or immediate forgiveness. She is validating the lasting damage she caused.
That distinction is so crucial for the listener. The mother is saying, look, I needed to say this for my conscience, but your pain and your anger are legitimate and they are still there.
It adds this layer of emotional complexity that just grounds the whole thriller. It tells us that even when truths are spoken, forgiveness isn't a simple one-step process.
It's also a critical function in the show's pacing.
It is. It forces this sudden immersion in genuine, non-criminal human vulnerability, guilt, regret, right before the show just slams us with the next major twist of calculated darkness.
It's the deep breath before the plunge. Because right after this moment of domestic reckoning, we are thrown back into high-stakes criminality. The story takes a really sharp turn away from emotional drama and back into a dangerous thriller, with a shocking twist involving imprisonment.
This is where we leave that gray zone and enter the pitch black. The story gets fundamentally darker, and it forces us to completely reevaluate Seema's role.
So what happens?
The scene we analyze involves a letter being written, but the context is terrifying. It's being written from a storage room, which is situated eerily close to the mansion.
The very place that's supposed to represent safety and family life.
Classic thriller technique. The juxtaposition of the hidden crime right next to the home makes you feel unsafe everywhere.
So what does the letter reveal about what's happening in that storage room?
It delivers the shocking, defining truth. Seema had locked a woman inside.
Why?
Because that woman knows the entire truth. This is not an accident. This single revelation just transforms Seema from a character we suspect of deceit into an actor-agent of kidnapping and violent confinement.
The stakes just jumped from a failed capture to, like, criminal force to contain secrets.
And the sources highlight this really potent connection here between outward power and internal fear.
What do you mean?
The imprisonment is a symptom of deep insecurity. It reveals that those who look so powerful on the outside are actually afraid of the truth. Their power is entirely reliant on suppressing it.
So the woman locked away, she isn't just a victim.
No, she's more than that. She is the physical representation of the voice of the truth that's being forcefully, brutally silenced.
The tension, then, isn't just about whether she'll escape. It's about a much deeper thematic question. Will this buried truth ever surface and shatter this illusion of control?
And this immediately escalates everything. We've gone from a plot to 𝐀𝐁𝐿 to this desperate physical containment effort. It underscores that the secrets are far more dangerous than anyone initially believed, and it doesn't stop there.
Right, because if one character is capable of something this dramatic, you have to assume this isn't a solo operation.
And the dialogue in the next crucial moment confirms it. The organized, terrifying nature of the whole crime.
How so?
The entire tone of the episode changes here. We get this threatening dialogue that just defines the scale of the deceit. The threat is explicit. This is not a solo effort. Everything is being done together.
And the most chilling part, which completely shifts our understanding of the hierarchy, is that line.
That control is now in someone else's hands.
That one line just destabilizes everything we thought we knew. It implies that even Seema, who just locked someone up, is taking orders from someone else.
It introduces this concept of systematic control. We start hearing this chilling, criminal-specific language.
Like what?
Talk of pulling the leash, stopping someone's breath, and forcing shared accountability.
Okay, wow.
This confirms it. We are dealing with a well-planned criminal operation. This is way beyond emotional motives or some family squabble.
It's the moment you realize the true threat isn't one person's actions, but the whole network behind them. So let's deliver the definitive game-changing twist from the source material. We need to identify the killer and the relationship there.
The facts are confirmed. Seema is the killer of Ceylan.
A massive revelation that pulls her completely out of the gray zone and confirms she is a perpetrator.
However, and this is the huge part, she is not the ultimate authority. She is emphatically not alone. She has a partner controlling everything from behind the scenes.
That is the ultimate twist of the episode. The character who seems to be taking all the violent action, the one locking up witnesses, she herself is being controlled.
The villain we thought was at the top of the pyramid is actually working with another more unseen and therefore more terrifying force.
So it completely changes the focus of the investigation for the audience. The question shifts from who did it, we know that's 𝐀𝐐𝐓, to who is the real brain driving this whole thing? Who's the puppeteer holding the leash?
Exactly. And that structure ensures you fear the system of control, not just the individual. 𝐀𝐐𝐓's actions become less about her own malice and more about the power of coercion wielded by this invisible mastermind.
It sets the stage for a final showdown, not with a known enemy, but with this elusive force that commands absolute obedience.
It creates this tremendous sense of latent danger because the source is both unknown and intimately connected to the existing players. The web is vast, and the final boss is still hidden.
It's the perfect culmination. The episode's brilliance is that it marries this relentless plot with a really deep dive into the character's emotional states.
Yeah.
It forces you to actively analyze every single piece of information.
Absolutely. You see figures trapped by intense fear, consumed by guilt like Karen's mother, or, just intoxicated by the power they wield over others like this unseen mastermind.
It doesn't give you easy answers or clean villains.
Not at all. As the sources clearly confirm, this episode only revealed half of the truth. We know the identity of the killer, but we're left with the certainty that the story is about to reach its real turning point only when the identity of the controller is revealed.
The immediate crime is known, but the ultimate authority is still just lurking. Which leaves us with a necessary, provocative final thought, building on all this ambiguity in the theme of control versus choice. Given everything we've seen, the imprisonment of the witness, the confirmed coercion of 𝐀𝐶𝐓, the mother's crushing guilt, can you truly distinguish who in this story is acting under genuine duress?
Compelled by that threat of the pulled leash.
And who's doing all of this by free, malicious choice? That contrast between coercion and calculated intent is what makes this story so uniquely powerful and so deeply unsettling.
That is the essential psychological puzzle that just lingers long after the credits roll.
Indeed. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the shadows of betrayal. We'll see you next time.